What does a real estate property manager do? What do they actually do day in and day out that makes your job as an owner that much easier? Let's go. As a real estate investor that invests all over the country and works with multiple property managers, what I want to do in this video is give you the 5 things you need to know that all property managers should be doing. So if you interview a property manager and they're not doing one of these 5 things, you need to move on and get a new one. But make sure you stick around to the end, because at the end, I'm going to tell you the biggest mistake I ever made in real estate when it came to property management, and it cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. The first thing a property management does is they collect rent. That's very basic. It's one of the most basic things property managers do is they collect rent and they deal with delinquency rent, meaning renters that aren't paying or haven't paid yet. One of the biggest things a property manager does is making sure all of the money of your portfolio is collected into one place so that you don't have tenants that aren't paying and are still living in your house for free. One thing property managers often won't do is to help tenants get assistance. What I've done with all of our property managers is we now help our tenants get assistance if they can't pay. What this has really done is if one of our tenants have lost a job or they've hit a tough spot and they don't have the revenue to pay rent, we actually assist in the process of helping them get the assistance so they can pay rent. A lot of property managers don't think about doing that, but I would tell you as you interview property managers, make sure they're able to help people get assistance when they need it. This will make your rent delinquency go down exponentially, because if somebody's hit a tough time and they can't pay, you now are offering a real solution. You're not just calling, trying to get money out of them that they don't have. You're calling and saying, let me help you get the assistance you need so that you can pay your rent so your credit doesn't take a hit and we don't have to evict you. It's a win-win, and by bringing that process in-house, we've been able to help a lot of tenants stay in our units, continue to pay, and help them get back on their feet rather than just kicking them out. So one of the keys to a property manager is they collect rent and make sure that people that aren't paying rent are on some sort of program to either move out or to find a way to grab that money. And by creating an assistance program, you're going to have a lot more people pay and a lot less delinquency. The second thing a property manager does is they turn over your units. What this means is when one of your tenants moves out, they make sure that unit is rent ready. What that means is ready to rent to another tenant. So when a tenant moves out, a lot of things need to happen. Number one, the utilities need to come back into our name so we can cover those bills until another tenant is in. Another thing a turnover includes is to clean the unit and make sure it's ready for the next tenant. We also will do repairs in order to prepare for another tenant. For example, let's say the last tenant was a little hard on the carpet and it needs a new paint job. We want to put in new flooring and update the unit to make sure not only that we can get higher rent, but it's also ready and safe for another tenant. But the other thing they do is they market your unit. Once it is rent ready, they also put it on marketing sites so people can find their unit. A lot of property managers have a really good website where tenants can come and they can thumb through the units that are open on their actual website. But they take care of the marketing for you to get as many applications in so we can find a really good tenant for your property. And as those applications come in, they're going to show that unit. People want to come and see the unit, walk through, see the size bedrooms, see the kitchen, see everything the unit has to offer, and a property manager will manage that process of meeting with potential tenants and allowing them to see the property. In the turnover process, as applications are coming in and they're collecting all those applications, they're also going to do background checks on any tenants that are really good candidates. So if we find a good tenant that's a good candidate, our property manager is going to do background checks and make sure there's nothing in their background that would make them an undesirable tenant for our property. But then, one of the most important things in the turnover process is they're actually going to tenant select, meaning they're going to actually select the tenant that's going to live in your place. In all this process of a turnover, they're going to take a unit when a tenant moves out and bring it to the point where a new tenant moves in. And that has much more nuance to it than just simply marketing and getting a new tenant. There's a lot of things we need to do to make sure that's ready for a new family to occupy that unit. And the beauty of that is the property manager does it all. The third thing a property manager will do for you is they manage all of the repair. I don't care what kind of unit you own and how new it is, you're going to have repairs. Furnaces are going to break, roofs are going to leak, a window might crack, flooring needs to be repaired, painting needs to be repaired, a leaky faucet, and they're going to manage all of those things. My property manager has a system that lets me know anytime a repair request is put into them. So if a tenant reaches out and say, hey, I have a leaky faucet, they actually have an automated system that sends me an email that says, tenant number XYZ at this address told us that they have a leaky faucet. We're headed out to look at it. We'll let you know the cost of repair. And all of that's on an automated system, so I get updated every time they're at a property. This is the benefit of property management. They do all of the hard work, and we get to continue to reap the benefit. It's a win-win. They're building their business, and we're actually getting to buy real estate, not just acquire revenue, but acquire freedom. Before I go on to the last tips in the bonus story, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification so you get notified every time we drop a brand new video. We have so much content on our channel that we want to make sure gets to you in the world. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of it. The fourth thing a property manager does is they pay all of your bills. They make sure the utilities are paid. They make sure the mortgage is paid. They make sure the insurance is paid. They can pay every single bill that has to do with the property. As a side note, this is why it's really important you pick a property manager of high integrity or request a referral to make sure you have a really good manager in place, because they have access to all your money and all your bills. They can really hurt your credit or continue to build and strengthen your credit depending on their systems to make sure no bills are lost, nothing goes unpaid, and all of your money gets to the right place. They also make sure all of your taxes are taken care of. Anytime a tax bill comes in, our property managers make sure those are paid. Anytime a contractor sends a bill to us, they make sure that gets paid. They make sure all of your bills get paid and then simply transfer your profit to you every single month. It literally is, they are doing the work and they transfer your profit to you. Some months your profit may go down as repairs go up, but they're going to send that one amount to you every single month. This makes ownership easy, because what I do with my private investors, sometimes I have investors in my deals, I get one report a month that tells me all the expenses and the income. I send that report to our investors and everybody's kept abreast of what's going on. This is the power of having a really good manager in place. They pay all the bills, you get one report of all the expenses and income of that month. And at the end of the year, you have 12 reports, and then you usually get a yearly report of all the bills they've paid, all the money they've collected. It's a powerful way to manage your properties so you don't have to do the work. But the most important thing a property manager does is they free up your time. I didn't get into real estate to have another job. I got into real estate to create wealth, freedom, and value. Wealth for me and my generations to come, freedom for myself and those involved, and value to my tenants, managers, and the people that work on our properties. So the truth of the matter is, I didn't get into real estate to have another job, and I'm assuming you're not either. A property manager can do all of the hard work of ownership so that you can actually feel the value of ownership and you can continue to focus on further acquisitions. Now, I can tell you, when I first started my properties, I made a big mistake. I self-managed my properties. That means every time a toilet was broken or a door needed to be repaired, I was the one that was called, not a manager. There is no freedom in that model. So let me please ask you, do not self-manage your properties if you want freedom. One of the biggest mindsets I had to break through is I never buy a property that doesn't have enough room in the revenue to hire a manager, or else with the purchase of that property, I sacrifice my freedom. And I also realized every time I went to fix a toilet or fix a door or fix a window or to turn over a unit, that was time I wasn't spent on further acquiring more properties. And every time you spend managing your own properties, that's opportunities you're missing that are still in the market right now. And I don't want to see you miss those opportunities. So don't manage your properties. Let managers that do that professionally do what they do, and you focus on further acquisitions. The biggest mistake I ever made in real estate was hiring the wrong property manager. I hired a property manager that actually didn't even live in the city where my properties were. Yes, you heard that right. Now you might be asking, Mike, how in the world did you make that mistake? Believe me, it wasn't on purpose. So I went to Google, I Googled a bunch of property managers, I called them up, one of them called me back, I started to talk with her, she gave me a resume, she seemed very legit, she had an office in that city where I owned properties, so I never thought to ask, do you actually live there? Crazy me, to find out she doesn't even live in the area. Her team was managing my properties, and poorly at that, and she never even lived there. She never saw my properties. She didn't even know what they looked like. What that ended up producing was a horrible experience. Not only was she not able to manage her team well, all of the repairs on my properties had to be redone. We eventually had to just rip those properties from her and put it under a new management company and break contract. It cost us thousands of dollars. She held about $15,000 to $20,000 hostage of our money, meaning she had our rent and wouldn't release it. And it took us months to get her to release at least some of it, and we never got all of it. The truth of the matter is, hiring a bad manager can torpedo your success like that. Make sure as you're interviewing managers, you go through this sheet. Make sure this is what they're doing. Oh, and as a side note, make sure they live there. I also have a free gift for you for tuning in today. If you click the link below, you get my free multifamily masterclass, which is a 60-minute training that walks you through how to get your first or next piece of multifamily in 71 days or less. And also, if you know somebody else that this training would help, make sure you share it so they can get the same value you're going to get when you join this training. I'll see you there.